We gotta run the human race. Everybody must take part. Win some or lose some, listen to your heart. On earth, just one sky. We all gotta live it till the day we die. Till the final curtain calls and the light goes down. We all have a ride on the merry-go-round. We gotta run.
Hello and welcome to another Globetrotting with Gillespie. Of course, it's me, Dana Gillespie, on a lovely purple sofa. And at this moment, I'm in Vienna, and we're actually in the back office of one of my favourite places in Vienna, the Metropol. And I'm sitting next to a guy that I've known for many, many years, and he's sold many, many albums, made many albums. Would you please welcome Mr. Hans Theessink? Good to be sitting next to you, Hans.
Really good to be on the same
On the purple sofa.
purple seat with you.
What I wanted to know is, because I've known you for so long, but I don't know when you started singing, what inspired you to pick up the guitar?
Well, in the 60s, like the acoustic guitar was still sort of a mainstream instrument. There was people like John Baez, Donovan, Bob Dylan. So the acoustic guitar was an important instrument in the general music. And I got playing in a little skiffle band in Holland.
Yeah, skiffle. I
Skiffle
love
too.
skiffle music. Love it.
Yeah, it's great.
People have forgotten about it.
And then we were listening to the radio, Radio Luxembourg.
Me too. God.
And I heard Big Bill Brunsey. I didn't know it was blues at the time, but I really enjoyed the emotion in his voice and the incredible playing. It sounded like three people were playing at the same time, like basses and melody and accompaniment. So it was really, for me, that was a real eye-opener, and Big Bill got me started.
Did you start writing songs then, or did you just were getting to get the guitar playing?
In the beginning, I didn't write songs, but I remember my first record that came out in 1970 was an EP, and I wrote one of the songs. It's called Next Morning at Sunrise. That was probably my first song.
I like you saying EP, because I had to explain to somebody the other day what an EP was. They were young, of course, they didn't know what it meant. Can you remember the first record you bought?
The first record I bought was a record by the Dutch String College Band.
Oh yeah, that Oscar Klein played with them.
Yeah,
but
not at that time,
but many others.
because I was looking for a blues record, because I found out Big Bill Brunsey played blues.
Yeah.
So I thought, I want to learn this style, and I have to get a record. And because in the east of Holland where I grew up, there was nobody playing some stuff like that. There's no teachers, no books, no nothing. I mean, no internet, of course.
Of course.
And, so I went to the local record shop and asked for a blues record, and the guy came from his little back room and came back with this album of the Dutch String College Band, and he said, "This is a great blues record." And I played it at home, and it turned out to be a Dixieland band, you know, a trad jazz band.
But you know, when I look back, trad and Dixieland was also okay if you couldn't get anything else. It was a real kind of music.
Oh yeah, but because when I grew up, there was lots of Dixieland going on.
Yeah,
you know,
me too.
trad jazz.
It's so good to hear you sort of talk about the Donovan, Dylan, and that kind of era, because we're almost the same age. I might add, though, that you're 1 year older than me. But in those days, when you bought a record, you took it home and you really listened to it. You had to save up for it. It was. And you just you had to be careful what you bought in those days.
Yeah, well, because I mean, there's not much available. I mean, even to find the right record was difficult. And once you got it, I mean, you played it until the grooves were gone, more or less,
What brought you to Vienna? Because, I mean, did you go straight from there to here to come to Vienna? Because this is your main hometown, isn't it now?
I grew up in the Netherlands and left Holland in 1970, and I lived in Denmark for about 10 years.
Okay. And I always thought you were Danish born. You're Dutch born.
I'm Dutch.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So you lived in Denmark, and then what brought you here? A gig?
I had a tour lined up for Austria, and my agent wouldn't he didn't take my posters from the post, so I called Milica because I had some friends that she worked for, and she said yes, send them to me. I mean, she was a little reluctant, but then I started my tour in December '79, and it was a pretty long tour, and we met on that occasion. I mean, I went to the place that's now called the U4. It's a famous disco
Yes,
night,
I remember it.
night place, and at that time it was still called Copacabana.
Okay.
And I went to a gig of a friend. I had a night off, and Milica came in the door. She was very flamboyant, you know, big hair and purple strings in the hair and stuff like that. So I was very impressed, and I tried to get her to my gigs, which she wasn't really too fond of. But after really trying to persuade her, she came to a gig, and then we sort of
You
worked
got
things
together.
out. Yeah.
And you've been together, what, is it 40 years? Ish?
We married in '83, so we'll have our 40th anniversary.
Well, I always say that if I had been a man, I would marry somebody like Milica because she's so famous. I mean, I know you're really famous for your music, but she's so famous as being probably the best and the strictest manager agent ever because she's done great things. I mean, she does so much for you, you lucky thing. Where, you know, me as a woman, I haven't got anyone like that you have. And she's really, she does a lot for you and all the stuff that no musician really wants to do.
Yeah, it's really great, and she learned the trade from actually on the street in London.
In Ireland, wasn't she in Ireland?
Yeah,
as
she was in
well?
Ireland too, but she started off in London in Portobello Road, bottling
Bottling, yes.
from street musicians.
Explain to people, they won't know what bottling is. I know what it is, but
It's somebody that tries and collect the money for
the
street
street performer.
musicians.
Yeah, the busking people always have people bottling.
And I played on the streets a lot. I played all over Europe on the streets, and we were always looking for a beautiful girl to do the bottling because that could double your fee.
And you
in no
can't
time.
say no to Milica. I know. I might have tried in my life. You just don't say no. So now I know because I've seen you work with amazing people in your life. So you picked, I mean, I can say Terry Evans, but you've got loads of others. You know, do you pick them and on each of your albums you always have some people in from America, or you have some special choice? So
Well, I toured a lot in America, and my first albums came out on a label out of Chicago, on Flying Fish.
okay, yeah.
So that really got me into a lot of American festivals, and so I met lots of people and clicked with some of them really well, and so I invited those people on my records. And with Terry Evans, that's a long time. We worked together, and we did 3 albums just as a duo. And he, of course, was the backing vocalist of Ry Cooder. So
Yeah.
when we recorded an album, we said, "Oh, I could hear Ry Cooder on this track." So Terry said, "Well, let's call him." And
Oh, you've had him on your...
Yeah.
I know you've had loads of amazing people. Do you know how many albums you've made?
at least 30.
Because I know, because we've got I'm singing at your birthday bash for tonight, which of course we're sitting here in the Metropol. And I've looked at the presentation of all the CDs laying out, and you've always got fabulous CD covers. It's so important to the packaging, really important. I mean, and you've got great images on your... Is that you that does that, or Milica, or you find somebody that does it?
I think basically I sort of get the idea and
Yeah.
get somebody to work it out, a graphic designer.
And do you write how many % of each album? How much is your self-penned, or do you do some cover versions?
I have some albums with just my own songs, and I also did some albums with a variety of old blues tunes too. So it's sort of a variety, whatever
And because
feels right at the time.
I was honoured enough to sing on your Run the Human Race track, and you played once on mine on the Blue Blood album, and you know, which I'm really happy that you did that, because you play a kind of a style that, well, I know you've been doing it for years, but young people don't really get to hear, especially that bottleneck stuff.
No.
They don't hear it much anymore.
Well, the thing is, radio never plays stuff like that.
No, I know.
So how can you get introduced to this kind of music, you know?
Yeah.
And in those days when we started off, there wasn't much music going around, or a lot of radio music that you didn't want to hear anyway. So you were really searching out stuff that did something to you, and yeah. But I still get at my gigs, I get like young kids really interested in it. So I don't think it's totally gone, but
it's not as easy because there's so many
hard.
other things. I mean, the internet and everything has changed everything. Well, I know we're on stage. Well, you're on stage performing because it's your show tonight. So I want to thank you for sitting on the sofa and talking to me, Hans. And we'll have a great time tonight. Well, you always do have a good time on stage.
Yeah, and I think it's really great that you joined in, because you were on my list for a long time. This is like my 15th birthday bash.
Yeah, and birthdays.
And it's great that you finally made it.
And we both have birthdays. We're both Aries.
Yes.
Well, listen, let's have fun tonight.
Right.
So, from Hans Theessink sitting here on the sofa with me, we're going to go down and the show's going to start. From us both, goodbye.
And we're going to have a great time.
Yeah. Blue blood in your vein, blue blood will always leave a stain. Blue blood in your vein, blue blood will always leave a stain. You can thank your mama and papa on what they did to you, but you can't change or rearrange what always will be blue, blue blood. Blue blood in your vein, blue blood will always leave a stain. You can't turn back the pages of what has been and gone, but the family tree is history, keeps going on and on. Blue blood. Blue blood in your vein, blue blood will always leave a stain. Give it to me, blue. Oh, the sinner's got a future and the saint has got a past, but down the line there's one design that always seems to last. Blue blood. Blue blood in your vein, blue blood will always leave a stain. There's some born every minute and some are dying too. So play the part and follow hard, it's all you have to do. Blue blood. Blue blood in your vein, blue blood will always leave a stain. Blue blood. Oh, blue blood in your vein, blue blood will always leave a stain.
Ich finde es wunderbar, dass ihr so lange ausgehalten habt. Es war sehr schön für euch zu spielen. Danke vielmals fürs Kommen. Ihr habt einen riesen Applaus verdient, das könnt ihr euch selber geben. Und wir haben noch ein paar Nummern vorbereitet, aber dafür brauchen wir die ganze Mannschaft und Frauschaft auf der Bühne. Dana Gillespie. Edward. Milica. Douglas, Ina und Anja. Und Bernhard Ramitz mit der goldenen Trompete. Silbermann.
Dieses Lied heißt May the Road Take You Safely Home. Und ich hoffe schon, dass ihr alle gekommen seid und kommt wieder gut an, wo ihr hin wollt. May the road take you safely home. May a gentle spirit guide you. May the road take you safely home. Und für mich war es eine Riesenfreude, mit diesen wunderbaren Musikerkollegen hier diesen Abend zu zelebrieren. Gibt es einen Riesenapplaus?
And Hans Theessink.
May the road take you safely home. May the road take you safely home. May the tender spirit guide you. May the road take you safely home. May the road take you safely home. May the road take you safely home. May the tender spirit guide you. May the road take you safely home. May the stars brighten up your way. May the stars brighten up your way. May the light shine on so you safely home. May the stars brighten up your way. May the road take you safely home. May the road take you safely home. May the gentle spirit guide you. May the road take you safely home. May you never walk alone. May you never walk alone. May you find a friend who'll lend a helping hand. May you never walk alone. May the road take you safely home. May the road take you safely home. May the gentle spirit guide you. May the road take you safely home. May your ancestors show the way. May they lead you on to see you safely home. May your ancestors show the way. May the road take you safely home. May the road take you safely home. May your gentle spirit guide you. May the road take you safely home. Het komt aan in de zingen zo eenmaal en we mogen. Oh, take you safely home. Oh, take you safely home. May you change your spirit.